Royal Ascot is happening so soon and I cannot stop thinking about it. Not because of the racing, but because of what it does as an event. The way that every single person in that enclosure has made a decision about how to show up. The hats, the tailoring, the champagne in the gardens, the sense that the occasion itself is worth such beautiful effort and intention. That dressing beautifully, eating well, and being present in a beautiful outdoor space on a summer's day is worth doing properly. And I keep thinking this is exactly what the best weddings feel like. That same quality of collective effort, that same sense of a day that has been considered from every single angle. Ascot and a great wedding are drawing from the same well. So this video is about how to consciously channel that energy into your day. The aesthetic, the atmosphere, the details, and all the things that make a room full of people feel like they are part of something so special. Welcome back to The Curated Wedding. I'm Nasli, I run an award-winning wedding venue. And I've spent years watching what makes a wedding day feel truly elevated, not just well organized, but genuinely alive with intention. I've also planned all 3 of my own wedding celebrations. So I bring all of that to what I share here. If you're new here, make sure you hit subscribe so you don't miss what comes next week. And if you've been here a little while already, you know this is where we talk about weddings the way they deserve to be talked about. Let's get into it. Section 1, the dress code, the most underused tool in wedding planning. One of the things that makes Ascot so visually extraordinary is that everyone in the enclosure has been given a clear brief and risen to meet it. The royal enclosure has the strictest dress code. The Queen Anne enclosure has its own version. Even the village enclosure has the most relaxed, but it has its own standard. Every guest knows what they're aiming for, and the result is a room, or in Ascot's case, a garden, where the collective effort of everyone present creates something that no single outfit could achieve. Now, most weddings don't utilize this, or at least not this way. The dress code line on a wedding invitation, if it exists at all, it usually says something like smart casual or black tie optional, and those phrases do almost nothing. They don't inspire, they don't give guests a creative brief, it's not even that clear. And considering your guests make up half of the visual landscape of your whole wedding, it feels like a missed opportunity. A clear aspirational dress code is not a restriction on your guests, it's actually a gift to them. It tells them the level of the occasion. It gives them permission to dress in a way that they might not have dared to without it. And it tells them that you've thought about what you want the whole room to look like, which itself is a form of care. The Ascot translation, morning dress and hats encouraged, is a completely different instruction from smart casual. It tells a story about the day before anyone's even arrived. It sets an expectation that the occasion is worth showing up for properly. You do not need to require a morning dress at your wedding. You do not need to mandate hats. But inviting them and specifically naming them as welcome will change what your guests wear. And that in turn will change your photographs, your room, and the entire atmosphere of the day. Now on the invitation, all you need is to add a single line. Keep it specific enough to inspire, relaxed enough not to intimidate. Morning dress and occasion hats warmly welcome, something like that. Or if morning dress feels actually a bit too formal for your day, formal summer dress, hats and tailoring encouraged. Now the word encouraged is doing the real work here. It tells guests that this is a space where dressing up is appropriate, expected even, without making anyone feel that they'll be turned away at the door for wearing a suit without a top hat. Millinery, the detail that changes everything. Now, I want to spend some real time on what hats do to a room because I think it's the single most transformative thing you can do to the visual experience of your wedding, and almost nobody talks about it in this context. A room full of people in hats looks fundamentally different from a room full of people without them. The photographs look different, the ceremony looks different, the drinks reception looks and even feels different. There's a texture and a height and a sense of occasion that nothing else quite replicates in the same way. Now, Ascot understands this, which is why in 2012 they ruled that fascinators below 4 inches no longer qualify. A hat needs a solid base, a real architecture for it to do what a hat does. The difference matters. A clip-on fascinator is decorative. A proper hat is architectural. Both are lovely, of course, but they're not the same thing. And if you want the Ascot quality in your room, it's the hats that you'll be inviting. Now, beyond the dress code wording, there are practical things you can do. If you have a wedding website, dedicate a line to it. Something like, "We would love to see hats. If you've been looking for a reason to commission one, this is it." That one sentence gives guests a creative brief and a permission slip simultaneously. Some couples will even include a milliner or a hat boutique recommendation in their wedding information. A name, a price point, a lead time note. Now this is Ascot level detail. It tells your guests that you've thought about this and that you are serious about it. And with that, this is the moment for the bride's headpiece to be treated with the same consideration as the dress. Not a veil chosen in the same appointment, not a clip-on decoration ordered online at midnight, but a considered conversation with a milliner or a hat designer about what belongs on your head for this specific day and this specific dress at this specific kind of wedding. A commissioned headpiece takes 3 to 4 months. Good milliners get booked out for peak season way in advance. So if an Ascot-inspired wedding is on your radar, the millinery conversation happens early on, alongside the dress, not after it. The groom, morning dress, and why this is the moment. Ascot is one of the few events left in British life where morning dress is worn as a matter of course. And the reason it looks so extraordinary in that setting is not because the clothes are expensive or rare, it's because they're right for the occasion. A tailcoat and a top hat at a summer wedding does what properly dressed Ascot dress does. It signals the occasion is genuinely worth honouring. Now, for grooms who've never considered it, morning dress at a wedding in summer is worth a serious conversation. It photographs beautifully, it pairs with almost any bridal aesthetic, it has a gravitas that a lounge suit, however well cut, just doesn't carry in the same way. And it gives the groom a creative outlet through the waistcoat, the one element where personality can really come through within formal framework. A pale grey or stone waistcoat for summer garden weddings, a deeper sage or navy if the palette calls for it, a subtle pattern or a colour that picks up something within the flowers. The waistcoat is where the Ascot groom quietly expresses himself, and it's worth spending time on. Now the big question, to buyer or to hire. Now for most grooms, hire is the right answer for morning dress, and the quality available from specialist hirers at the moment is significantly better than most people would expect. The key is to go early on, try multiple options and not treat it as an afterthought. A well-fitted morning suit looks extraordinary. A poorly fitted one does not, regardless of how formal or how expensive it may be. Fit is everything. Now, if morning dress feels a step too far for your specific day, the Ascot energy can still come through in beautifully tailored 3-piece suits in a considered fabric. Linen, fine wool silk blend, subtle check, worn with dress shoes and a proper tie. The point is not the specific garment, the point is the level of intention. Now, section 4, the champagne arrival, making the opening moment count. Every day at Ascot opens with the royal procession. The king and the royal family arrive by carriage down the course. It's a ceremony built into the structure of the day, and it does something really important. It tells everyone present that the occasion has officially begun. There is this moment of collective attention, a shared beat before the racing starts. Your wedding has an equivalent of this, and most couples don't use it intentionally. The arrival of the guests, the moment the ceremony begins, the transition from ceremony to drinks. These are the beats of your day, and each of them can be designed rather than simply allowed to happen. The drinks reception arrival is the one that I want to focus on here because it is the closest equivalent to the Ascot Garden experience. At Ascot, the arrival into the Royal Enclosure Gardens is an experience in itself. Champagne is poured before you've even sat down. The garden is dressed, there's music, there's somewhere to stand that is beautiful and somewhere to sit that is more intimate. The transition from arriving to being received is seamless and considered. Most wedding drinks receptions are not like this. They are a logistics gap between the ceremony and the dinner, during which guests stand in a room or in a field waiting for something to happen, holding a glass that was handed to them on the way in. Now, the difference between these two experiences is almost entirely about intention and staging. A drink station that is beautiful rather than just functional. Some really nice glassware, something to graze on that's been thought about, not just past canapes around a tray, or not only that, but a table with cheese, charcuterie, seasonal fruits, breads, something that invites guests to gather and linger rather than just pass through. Music that has been chosen specifically for this moment, not just a generic playlist. Somewhere to sit that's been designed rather than left over from the ceremony setup. And of course, Ascot itself is synonymous with champagne. But the considered choice goes one level further, a grower champagne rather than a house name. Better still for an English summer wedding, English sparkling wine. Nye Timber, Hambledon, Gusbourne. These are wines that can really hold their own against champagne at this price point, and they carry a story worth telling, and they feel right for a British summer occasion. Pouring a glass of English sparkling on the lawn of a country house venue in June is not a compromise. It's a considered decision, and guests will notice. Section 5, the garden as a room. The Royal Enclosure Gardens at Ascot are not simply grass between buildings, they are a room. There is structure where people gather, where they sit, where they move to. There's shade and there's sun, there's food here, drinks there. The space has been designed to be inhabited, not just stood in. Now, this is the aspiration for an Ascot-inspired weddings outdoor space. Whether your venue has formal gardens, a terrace, a walled garden, or simply a good lawn, the question is going to be the same. Have you designed the space, or have you just left it to chance? Now, what does designing a space actually look like? What I would say is furniture grouped intentionally rather than just distributed uniformly. A mix of standing space and seating. Ascot has both, and the best summer weddings should too. Shade that feels like a design decision, a linen canopy between two trees, a cluster of parasols in a considered palette, a pergola dress with climbing sweet peas or jasmine, a drink station that is beautiful enough to be a destination, not just a table with bottles or glasses on it, but something with height and arrangement, bottles and ice, glassware lined up, something flowering alongside it. The Fortnum and Mason hamper culture at Ascot is worth noting here. The legendary car park picnic where guests set up, tablecloths, flowers and candles in a nice car park before the races exists because Ascot people understand that even the informal moments deserve attention. Now, the same logic applies to your outdoor spaces, where the areas that your guests will simply stand and talk in between two structured moments of the day should feel as thought about as the ceremony room, the dining room, all the other elements that are really well organized. Now, two things that Ascot gets right that most weddings miss in outdoor spaces. Firstly, scent. June is the month of roses, sweet peas, lavender, cut grass. If your venue has any of those, or if your florist can bring them into the outdoor spaces, the experience of being in that garden has this sensory layer that no amount of visual styling can replicate. And secondly, sound. The transition between silence and music is jarring. Ascot has a bandstand. Your outdoor space needs a considered sound environment. Not a DJ, not yet, but something live and ambient. A string duo, a jazz trio, a solo pianist if there's anyone to pick one. Music that is present enough to set an atmosphere and quiet enough to talk over. Section 6, the colour story. One of the things that makes Ascot so visually arresting is that the best dressed guests make a single, confident colour decision and commit to it. Not a blended palette, not safe neutrals, a strong, deliberate choice. Coral, cobalt, sage, butter yellow, deep teal, worn with conviction. Now, this is the opposite of how most weddings approach colour. Wedding colour palettes tend to be towards the blended and the soft, dusty rose and sage, ivory and taupe, blush and champagne. These are beautiful, of course, but they're also quite safe. And they don't create the level of visual impact that an Ascot garden creates when someone walks in wearing a column of saturated colour under a sculptural hat. Now, of course, you can't really control what your guests are going to wear, but you can lead from the front and you can signal through your invitation, your stationery, your florals, and all of your own choices what kind of day this is going to be. Now, a bride who chooses an ivory dress with a genuinely architectural headpiece, a groom in a grey morning suit with a sage waistcoat and a bridal party in one strong, deliberate colour. This is the Ascot visual template applied to a wedding, and it is striking. For florals, Ascot Garden in June is a specific thing. Garden roses at their peak, sweet peas climbing, alliums with their globe heads, cow parsley finishing, foxglove standing tall. A florist briefed on an Ascot garden in June rather than just romantic summer florals will bring you something more interesting, definitely more seasonal. So ask for structure alongside the softness, the architectural stem alongside the loose peony, strong colour used deliberately against a base of white and green, not just blended into it. Your invitation is actually the first communication about the level of your occasion. An Ascot-inspired invitation is formal without being stiff, engraved or, my favorite, letterpress printing, cream or white card with a real weight to it, typography that references the event's heritage, something with serif elegance rather than a more modern minimalism, a specific dress code that lines the way that your guests are coming. They know exactly what is happening. This is not about spending more, it's about choosing with precision. One beautifully made card that feels like an occasion in itself will tell your guests more about the wedding than pages and pages of information on a website. Ascot, at its best, is proof that British culture does know how to do a summer occasion. The dressing, the gardens, the food, the champagne, the sense that how you show up is a mark of respect for the occasion. And of course, the people that you're sharing it with. Your wedding deserves that same energy, not necessarily the top hats, not necessarily the morning dress, though I hope I've made a little bit of a case for both, but that the quality of intention across everything is so important. The way that the outdoor spaces feel, the way the drinks reception staged, the way your guests have been given an exact brief that excites them rather than confuses them. Now, I would love to know in the comments, has this shifted anything for you? Are you thinking about your dress code a little bit differently now, or even considering hats in a way that you weren't before? And if you're already planning an Ascot-inspired day, tell me what you've decided on so far. I read everything you write and it genuinely shapes what I make next. If this was useful, please give it a like. It genuinely means so much, and make sure you subscribe so you don't miss anything next week. You can find me on Instagram every day at the.curated.wedding, where I share daily inspiration and behind the scenes moments from my wedding venue. My monthly newsletter is in the description, where you'll find all my top supplier recommendations for my personal little black book and a close look at what the most considered couples are planning right now. Thank you for watching, and I'll be back next week. And as always, happy planning.